Settle in. Let the air grow soft around you. Let the weight of the day ease from your shoulders. There is nowhere to be but here. There is nothing to do but breathe. A quiet moment floats between us, and into it I'll place a story. One made of salt and steam, brass and velvet. It is old now, but still floats softly through the folds of time. Close your eyes. You are no longer here. You are aboard a great ship. You are a janitor, a quiet soul among hundreds. And yet, you matter, because without hands like yours, even wonders drift into chaos. It is early morning on April 14th, 1912. The Titanic, she breathes with confidence, like a city set adrift. The hum of steam pipes, the hush of velvet shoes in first class, the rattle of trays in third, all of it becomes the lullaby of a world between shores. You wait before the others. You always do. The quarters are dim, your cot narrow, and the air smells of coal and linen. But as your boots meet the metal floor, your routine begins, not with urgency, but rhythm. A quiet rhythm, like a ritual. Rise, splash water to the face, lace boots, tie apron. No one notices the janitor, and that is precisely the magic of it. Through narrow crew corridors you walk, brushing shoulders with cooks, stokers, and stewards. They nod, tired eyes meeting yours with mutual understanding. You belong to the undercurrent of the ship, its pulse, not its pageantry. You carry a small tin bucket and a bundle of fresh rags. Your fingers, rough from days of scrubbing bronze rails and wooden floors, hold these tools like sacred instruments. You move from deck to deck, wiping smudges from the polished brass door handles, collecting crumpled notes and fallen gloves, smoothing the seams of an empire afloat. The ship is beautiful. Even here, below the glinting chandeliers and white-gloved laughter, you feel it, the way her walls breathe gently with every swell of the sea, how the steel beneath your soles flexes with the waves. It doesn't feel like metal. It feels like trust. A porter hums as he passes, whistling something half-remembered. You smile, but keep your eyes low. You are not meant to linger, but you are allowed to notice. And so you do. You notice the smell of the fresh linen in the first-class hallway, the crisp echo of shoes tapping along the promenade, the warmth of the ship's heart pulsing through the walls. There is grace in invisibility. You tidy a corner no one sees, brush away ash fallen from a gentleman's cigar, straighten a framed painting that tilted in the night's soft sway. Each gesture is small. Each one is enough. Hours pass slowly, as they should on a ship made to drift through days. Above, passengers take tea. Below, you polish the stair rails where their hands will pass. And still further below, others shovel coal into a hunger that never sleeps. You are all part of the same vessel, different floors, same rhythm. At mid-morning, a steward offers you a biscuit. It's slightly stale, but kind. You nod in thanks, tuck it into your coat. Later, when the sun fades, you'll enjoy it in silence, watching the sea stretch out from a small porthole near the crew washroom. That is your view, and it is enough. And now, the day lengthens. The ship glides through the North Atlantic like a dream, unbothered by waking. The sea outside is calm, mirrored, as if the world forgot to ripple. The Titanic hums beneath your feet, steady as breath. You do not know what waits in the night. No one does. But you don't need to, because here, in the present, your hands move with purpose, your footsteps echo softly through gold-trimmed corridors, and the air, scented with polish and salt, reminds you you are part of something grand. Quietly, gently, and so you continue, and the day carries you forward like a lullaby made of steel and light. Let yourself drift. Let yourself rest. Tomorrow will come, but not just yet. The day fades gently. It does not fall, does not collapse, but rather it folds, soft and slow, like a heavy curtain drawn across the face of a lantern. You are off duty now. The pail is empty, the brush is rinsed. Your back aches in the usual way, not sharply, but in the slow, familiar throb of well-done work. You step into the corridor, buttoning your second-best shirt. It smells faintly of soap and the sea, and the sleeves are a little too short, but it is clean, and that is enough. The air is cooler now. You feel it in the steel of the handrails, in the way your breath brushes faintly before you as you walk. Above, the great ship sails on, not fast, not slow, but with the quiet confidence of something that believes in its own invincibility. You climb one deck, then another. Not to go anywhere in particular, but because sometimes the upper halls feel different at night, less watched. More still, a steward nods as you pass. You nod back. No one speaks, not out of coldness, but because everything worth saying has already been said by the day itself. You make your way toward the promenade deck. a place you rarely visit, but tonight feels like permission. The doors are closed, but not locked. And so you step through, and the breath leaves your chest. The sea is glass, no wind, no waves, just the faintest hush of the ship's wake trailing behind like a silk ribbon cut in half. Stars scatter across the sky, not pinpricks, but floods of ancient light, burning so softly you feel them more than see them. Their reflections shimmer across the ocean's surface, as if the heavens have doubled themselves just for this night. You lean gently on the railing, your hands cold against the polished brass. The sound of the engines is a whisper beneath your feet, the faint, rhythmic hum of a machine too large to worry. You are not alone. Further down the deck, a few passengers stroll in silence. A man in a dark coat, a woman with a muff around her hands. No one speaks. Everyone watches. The ship slices through the water like a cathedral on glass. And you, a janitor in quiet clothes, are part of it. You notice the little things, the flickering lamps in the cabins far down the hull, the way the smokestacks trail ribbons of darkness into a sky that doesn't seem to mind, the way your breath fogs and then fades and then disappears. It is here, with the cold air soft against your cheeks, that time stops meaning very much. Not in a dramatic way, just gently, as if the clock forgot to tick, and in that forgetting, a kind of freedom settles on your shoulders. You stay there longer than you mean to. Minutes pass, or maybe hours. It's hard to tell. Eventually, your stomach reminds you it's time. So you turn away from the stars, back into the warm glow of the hallway, back into the body of the ship. Dinner waits below. Not the white-gloved extravagance of the first class, but the hearty, loud, comforting mess hall of the crew. You welcome it. You descend once more into the lower decks, where laughter floats in thick bands through the air. You hear the clatter of utensils, the scrape of chairs, and the low hum of 100 conversations overlapping. You find your usual seat at the end of the bench. Someone passes you a plate. Stew tonight. Thick, salty, warm. You eat in silence, not because you are alone, but because this kind of silence is full of comfort. The men around you talk of home, of letters waiting in New York, of girls they hope to see again, of food they miss. You listen. You smile. You dip your bread in broth and let the salt pull you back to the moment. A man to your left tells a joke you don't quite catch, but you laugh anyway. Not out of politeness, but because laughter is the kind of music you don't always need to understand. The meal ends, and slowly the room begins to empty. One by one, men rise, stretch, murmur their good nights. You linger, just a little longer. Eventually, you stand, return your plate, walk the familiar hallway back towards your sleeping quarters. Your boots echo softly. Your hands drift along the wall, not touching it exactly, just hovering close, as if to catch the heartbeat of the ship itself. You reach your room. Your cot waits, already made. A small window shows the dark sea beyond, rippling like velvet under candlelight. You sit. You untie your boots. You lean forward, elbows on knees, and exhale. And for a moment you do not feel tired, you feel whole. The ship rocks gently, just enough to lull you. Just enough to remind you that you are floating between two continents in a world carved from steam and stars. You lie back, and the sea carries you, not away, just onward. You wake with the soft creak of the ship settling beneath you. Not a harsh sound, but the quiet pulse of metal and steam. You rise slowly, careful not to disturb the few other souls who still dream in the narrow crew quarters. Outside, the night air is cool, whispering faint promises of dawn. But before dawn, your world lies deep within the belly of the Titanic. You move through dimly lit corridors reserved for those who keep the ship alive. Here, the hum you felt from above becomes a chorus, a rich, steady song. The engines breathe, inhale, exhale. Pistons slide and valves hiss, and the heat wraps around you like a thick woolen blanket. The engine room is a cathedral of iron. Massive gears spin with a determined grace. Men in oil-stained overalls work with practiced hands, winding wrenches, adjusting levers, shouting instructions over the roar. Their faces are streaked with soot and sweat, but their eyes are steady. They do not see you, but you see them. You carry your mop and bucket quietly, threading between the giant wheels and the steaming pipes, wiping away the grime that would dull their strength. Each sweep of your rag feels like a prayer, an act of care in a world powered by toil. The air is thick, heavy with the smell of hot metal and coal dust, but beneath it there is a surprising freshness. The faint scent of oil mingles with the sharp tang of seawater. You breathe deeply, steadying yourself in this ancient rhythm. Some men glance at you briefly, nod in greeting, but mostly they focus on their work. And you like it that way. There is comfort in being part of the silent machinery, in belonging to a system greater than yourself. Your boots echo softly on the metal walkways as you work, your movements precise and deliberate. The steady beat of the engines becomes a lullaby, not soft, but constant, grounding you in the present. You think about the coal stokers. Below decks, deep in dark tunnels, they shovel tons of black rock into hungry furnaces. Their muscles burn with exertion, their faces ghostly in the flicker of furnace light. They sweat and cough, but their labour feeds the heart of the ship. You wonder what they dream about, these unseen giants. Do they think of homes warm with firelight? Or perhaps the open fields of childhood? You cannot know. But you honour them in your silent way, by keeping their paths clean, their walkways clear. As you mop, your mind drifts to the ship above. The grand staircases, the glittering salons, the promenades bathed in moonlight. You imagine passengers wrapped in velvet coats, sipping tea, laughing softly. Far from here, their worlds sparkle. Here, the work is quiet and necessary. The hours slip by unnoticed. You pause briefly to rest your arms, leaning on a rail near the massive engines. Steam hisses from a nearby valve, and the warmth wraps around you like an old friend. You close your eyes and feel the vibration through your fingertips, the deep, endless thrum of life itself. In this moment, you are neither janitor nor man. You are the ship's heartbeat made visible, a part of the endless dance between man, machine, and ocean. A distant bell tolls somewhere above, soft and slow. It reminds you of church bells from a faraway town, the kind that call people to gather, to remember, to be still. You open your eyes and smile softly. The world continues to turn, and you are part of its quiet grace. When your task is done, you carefully gather your tools, tip your head to the men who work without rest, and begin your slow climb back to the surface. The ship's belly releases you like a breath. Cooler air greets you on the upper decks, and the stars still gleam above, unchanged and eternal. You pause at a porthole, watching the ocean stretch endlessly, a black mirror reflecting distant fires of starlight. And as you stand there, a thought drifts softly through your mind. This ship, this moment, is fleeting, but your hands, your care, your presence, they leave a trace. Like a ripple on the sea, subtle but unbroken, you turn away slowly, knowing the night will soon deepen and tomorrow will come, bearing all the promises and mysteries it holds. As dawn's first light stretches faint and pale across the horizon, you find yourself drawn to the quieter corners of the ship, the places where stories and lives blend softly in shadows and whispers. You are no longer merely a janitor on the Titanic. You are a silent witness to the hidden pulses beneath her gleaming surface. The lower decks hum with life, but not the kind you see on the grand promenades or in the sparkling salons. Here, the rhythm is different, slower, more intimate, yet no less vital. The air smells of salt and damp wood, mingled with the faint fragrance of laundry and faint traces of cooking spices drifting from nearby galley spaces. You descend a narrow staircase to the third-class quarters, where families from distant lands have gathered, clutching the hopes and fears that carried them across oceans. Their faces tell stories you can almost hear, tales of journeys, sacrifices, and dreams whispered quietly in the dark. The corridors here are lined with worn doors and small windows, where the light filters in muted and soft. Children play quietly, their laughter subdued but genuine, weaving between the bunks and shared spaces. You pause to straighten a blanket tossed carelessly on a cot, smoothing its wrinkles with careful hands. A woman with kind eyes smiles briefly at you from behind a doorway. Her hands are busy folding clothes, but her gaze lingers, acknowledging the silent respect you hold for this shared existence. You nod gently, a wordless greeting that carries warmth in the chill morning air. You move further down the hall, past the washrooms where steam rises in delicate clouds, and the sound of water running provides a gentle soundtrack to the day's beginning. The sounds of life, whispered conversations, the scrape of shoes, the soft shuffle of feet, fill the spaces like a comforting melody. It is here, amidst the unpolished floors and simple wooden furniture, that the true heart of the Titanic beats strongest. Not in the luxury or grandeur above, but in the quiet resilience of those who journeyed beneath the stars toward a new horizon. You carry your mop and bucket with reverence, treating these spaces as sacred chambers of human hope and endurance. Each sweep is a meditation, a way to honor the lives unfolding around you without words or fanfare. As you work, your thoughts drift to the stories these passengers might tell, of families reunited, of new beginnings, of memories left behind and futures dreamed of in hushed tones. You wonder about the languages spoken here, The prayers murmured in secret, the lullabies sung to restless children. You imagine the rich tapestry of cultures woven together in this floating city, threads of Gaelic, Italian, Swedish, Russian, and countless others intertwining in quiet harmony. Each person a single note in a vast, unfolding symphony. The ship creaks gently beneath your feet, a reminder of its living presence, a vessel not just of steel and rivets, but of dreams and determination. You feel a profound connection to this place, to the lives that intersect within its walls. Near the end of the hall, you pause at a small window. The ocean stretches beyond, vast and endless, catching the first light of dawn in shimmering waves. The sky blushes softly, painting the horizon in delicate hues of rose and gold. For a moment, you rest your forehead against the cool glass, letting the stillness seep into your bones. The sea is quiet, almost reverent, as if holding its breath alongside the ship. A gentle thought drifts through your mind. Like a feather on a breeze, the journey matters not just for its destination, but for every step taken along the way. And here, in these hidden halls, that journey is alive, fragile, vibrant, eternal. You gather your tools once more, feeling the steady rhythm of your work anchoring you in the present. Each floor cleaned, each corner tended, is a quiet act of care, a way to hold the fragile beauty of this moment against the vast unknown. As the day unfolds, you carry the weight and grace of this unseen world with you, knowing that even in the smallest tasks there is meaning. You are part of the tapestry, a single thread woven through the ship's grand design. The sea continues its endless song, and the Titanic sails on, steady and sure beneath the awakening sky. Later in the morning, you're called up again. Not often do you clean here. The first-class dining saloon, a cavern of soft carpets and white linen, where light spills through stained glass and waiters glide like whispers across the floor. But today, something needed tidying. A dropped spoon, a scuff on the polished wainscoting, a window pane smudged with the lightest breath of a curious child. And so, with a fresh cloth folded beneath your hand and your footsteps quiet as mist, you step into the gold-trimmed silence of the upper decks. The room hushes when empty, not silent, never truly, but hushed like a theatre between acts. The scent here is different than below, orange peel and polished oak, a hint of tobacco and roses, steam from silver kettles cooling behind swinging doors. You don't belong here, but the room does not reject you, it merely watches. You wipe down the wainscoting with a slow rhythm, not hurried. You are never hurried, but mindful, as though the ship itself deserves the grace of your attention. And perhaps it does, because here, in this floating palace, everything is touched by effort. The grandeur is not effortless. It is built, maintained, preserved by hands like yours. You straighten a chair slightly askew, polish the brass knob of the service door, tuck in the corner of a linen napkin that had drifted loose. Small things, invisible things, and yet, without them, the illusion would fade. The ceiling is ornate, patterned in soft plaster roses. You imagine the artists who shaped them, their ladders balanced on scaffold, their hands dusty with chalk and vision. What did they think about while working? Did they dream of oceans or of land? Did they wonder who would sit beneath their art, 100 feet above the Atlantic? A steward passes behind you. He's carrying a tray of spoons so polished you can almost see the bones of your face in their curves. You nod to him. He nods back. There's no shame in being here. Even if you're invisible to the guests, you're known to the ship, and that is enough. Outside, the sea gleams beneath pale light, endless and calm. You can feel the stillness through the soles of your boots. No sway, no rise, just the gentle glide of iron on water. It's easy to forget where you are when the ship feels like land. But the horizon reminds you, thin and sharp like the edge of a dream. At one table, left undisturbed, you find a small lace handkerchief folded beneath a silver knife. You unfold it carefully. Embroidered initials, a single flower stitched in one corner. You set it aside on a tray, knowing someone will come looking. Even lost things deserve dignity. You move to the far window, where your own reflection greets you like an old friend, half shadow, half ghost, flickering between this world and that beyond the glass. In the reflection, the room behind you clings like a memory, still, beautiful, haunted by footsteps that have not yet been taken. And then a bell chimes, softly, from somewhere behind the saloon, calling waiters to prepare the tables for lunch. You step back. Your work is done here. You retreat the way you came, footsteps soundless on carpet. Back down the servants' staircase, back into the narrow corridor that hums with footsteps, coal smoke, and clipped conversations. And as you descend, you carry something with you. Not pride exactly, but a kind of peace. A knowing that no matter how high the chandeliers hang, how fine the china gleams, there is a thread beneath it all, of labour, care, and soft patience. And you are part of that thread. You return your cloth to the laundry, rinsing it beneath the tap until the water runs clear. You fold it slowly, pressing it into the stack with the others, as if tucking it into sleep. Then you take your seat near the corridor wall, pull a biscuit from your pocket, and eat in silence, watching the light shift through the open stairwell. It is not yet evening, but the hours are stretching longer, as if the day itself is taking a slow breath. You do the same. Breathe in, breathe out. The ship glides onward, and you, quiet guardian of silver and steam, drift with it. Evening settles like silk. It does not descend. It flows, pooling in corners, stretching across the polished decks like shadowed lace. And the Titanic, proud and silent, glides into the dimming world as if pulled not by engines, but by the hush of twilight itself. You've finished your rounds. The brass is gleaming, the stairwell swept, and even the low corridors hum with a quiet order that only comes from care. You change your shirt, not because anyone will see you, but because the day deserves closure. It's your own private ceremony. This folding of sleeves, this brushing of lint from the collar, a ritual of respect. Outside, the air has changed, crisp now, cooler than before. You step through the side door onto the promenade deck, and the sea greets you, vast, calm, and quiet as breath before sleep. You are not the only one drawn here. Others walk in gentle loops, soft murmurs rising and falling in time with their steps. A woman clutches a shawl, a child carries a stuffed bear, a man lights a cigarette with practiced ease and stares toward nothing in particular. But you don't walk. You stand still, hands resting on the railing, eyes tracing the line where the water meets the sky. The stars begin to appear, first one, then another, then many, each one small and perfect and old. So old they shine from past centuries, their light just now arriving as if to say, even in darkness there is something that endures. The ship beneath you moves almost imperceptibly. Not a tremble, not a sway, just a suggestion of forward motion, like a thought half finished. You close your eyes. The wind brushes your face like memory. The salt in the air settles on your lips. The world feels suspended, neither past nor present, neither shore nor storm. Only this endless, drifting now. And still, the ship moves. You feel it in your bones, in your breath, in the faint hum pressed gently into the soles of your feet. Far above, the smokestacks trail their ribbons into a sky so deep it feels like you could fall upward and never land. You open your eyes again. A couple strolls past, their shoes whispering against the wooden planks. They don't see you. Not really. But you see them. The way they lean slightly into one another, not touching, but connected by invisible threads of tenderness and thought. And in that moment you think, even among strangers, we carry pieces of one another. You remain by the rail for a long time. The sea begins to shift in colour. No longer silver, but deep blue. Then indigo, then black. Still, it shines. Not from the moon, but from the starlight caught in its surface, like fireflies in a sleeping lake. And though the night is cold, you stay. Because this moment belongs to no one, and that makes it yours. A steward steps out briefly, checking something by the door. He glances at you and nods. You return it. There's no need for words. You both understand something that cannot be spoken, that the grandeur above and the labour below are not separate things, but woven from the same quiet thread. Eventually your fingers grow cold. You rub them together, take one last look at the infinite sea, and turn to go. But before you step inside, you pause. Just long enough to notice the way the lamps inside the ship glow with warmth, a soft golden invitation. A reminder that while the stars belong to the sky, the light in here belongs to people. You re-enter the corridor slowly, footsteps softened by the carpet. The warmth wraps around you, not just from the air, but from the presence of others. Fellow crew members finishing their shifts, passengers returning to cabins, the hum of the Titanic living its evening life. You descend to your quarters again, where your cot waits, narrow, clean, familiar. You sit for a moment, not ready yet for sleep, but not entirely awake either. That quiet middle place. The space where the day's weight softens and begins to dissolve. You unlace your boots slowly, stack them neatly beneath your bed, fold your hands in your lap, and breathe. The ship is steady. The sea is calm. The stars are watching. And so you rest. The ship sleeps. Above you, in 100 cabins, bodies shift beneath wool blankets, dreams unfurl quietly, and breath rises and falls like the gentle waves outside. Below, The engines continue their ancient rhythm, not tired, not restless, just constant. Steady as a heartbeat, and you are awake, not out of duty, but from something softer. A pull, a hush, a feeling that this hour belongs to those who choose to keep it company. The corridor outside your quarters is dim. Lamps burn low, casting soft pools of amber light that stretch long shadows across the walls. You move through them like a thought passing gently between moments. Not hurried, not lost, just carried. Up through the service stair, past the galley where pots hang quietly in rows, past the closed door of the pantry where the smell of flour and citrus still lingers. You know these corridors better in silence. They breathe more fully at night, without the noise of boots, trays, voices. Now they whisper. And you understand their language. You step out onto the open deck again. This time, the world is entirely still. The sea is so calm it barely moves. Not a ripple, not a murmur. It lies flat as glass, stretching outward in every direction, so perfectly dark and reflective that it becomes difficult to tell where the ocean ends and the stars begin. You walk to the rail. There is no wind, no voices, no engine sounds from here. Just the vast quiet. And above, the sky is thick with stars, not scattered, not separate, but layered, like folds of velvet, studded with pinpricks of old light. It is a night meant for remembering something you cannot name. You lean gently against the railing. The steel is cold under your fingers, but it doesn't bite. Instead, it feels grounding. A reminder that though everything around you is infinite, you are here, alive, anchored. And in that stillness a thought rises, not spoken, not even fully formed, but clear. This night will not come again, and somehow you know that is true. Not with dread, not with sorrow, only a soft awareness. The kind that visits when time slows so much you can hear its breathing. You let your eyes trace the constellations, familiar names returning to you like lullabies from childhood. Orion, Cassiopeia, the Dipper, curved like a question. And then you notice something strange, not alarming, just different. Little pieces of pale light floating on the water far ahead. At first, you think it must be reflections, a trick of the stars, but they do not flicker. They shimmer. You squint gently, but the distance makes them soft, undefined. No one else is here to ask. No one else watching. Just you and the sea and something faint and white and distant. But it doesn't matter. Not tonight. You draw your coat tighter, not out of fear, but because the air has cooled in that particular way it does before something changes. And still, the stars above remain. You let the moment pass, unworried, because this is a ship, a marvel. And you trust it, as everyone does. You stay a little longer, watching the soft horizon blur into nothingness. You don't think about sleep. You don't think about time. You think about your father's hands, rough like yours. You think about the way your mother folded sheets, with a crease in the centre and a hum in her throat. You think about the letter in your coat pocket, never mailed. You think about the salt air, the brass rail under your palms, and the shape of the world when no one is awake to shape it. Eventually, you step back. Your legs feel heavier now. Not tired, grounded. You walk slowly to the stair, hand brushing the wall as you descend. The corridor greets you like an old friend. Its dim lights flicker softly, welcoming your return. Back in your bunk, you remove your coat, lay it neatly across the foot of your bed, and sit down. The ship hums faintly through the mattress, a lullaby of steel and distance. You lie back, close your eyes. The stars are still above, even if you cannot see them now, and the sea waits, quiet and endless. You wake before the others. There is no bell, no knock, no voice, just the subtle sensation of the ship shifting beneath you, not in alarm but in suggestion, a tilt barely perceptible, like someone turning in their sleep. You rise slowly, blanket folded at the end of your cot, boots laced by quiet fingers. The room around you is still wrapped in dream. Men breathe deeply, arms draped over pillows, faces soft and unguarded. You don't disturb them. You step lightly, as if even your shadow should remain asleep. In the corridor, the air is cooler than it was. The lamps burn lower than usual. The silence feels a bit deeper. You head toward the stairwell, drawn not by duty, but by a sense, as if the ship itself had whispered for company. Up past the pantry, past the narrow hall near the cold storage, you pause at a small service door that opens onto the starboard deck. You push it gently, and the night spills in, still, silent, but changed. You can't say how. The sky is still filled with stars, the sea still mirror smooth, but something has shifted. There is a sound, a soft, crystalline whispering, like snow falling where it shouldn't. You step outside, and you see it, chunks of ice, scattered across the deck, pale, cold stones glinting in the lantern glow, some no larger than your fist, others flat and thin like glass. You crouch to touch one. It's slick and sharp against your fingertips, as real as anything you've ever felt. You look up toward the railing. Beyond it, the ocean stretches, dark, infinite, but off in the distance, you think you see something pale, a shape fading into the horizon, something that shouldn't be there. An officer appears then, brisk and silent, checks the ice near your feet, murmurs something to himself, then vanishes back through the shadows. You are not told what happened. You are not supposed to ask, but the pieces remain. You reach down, pick up a small shard, and hold it to the light. It refracts the lantern's glow in gentle prisms, as if hiding colour in its frozen centre. You smile. Even the cold has its beauty. You stand quietly, watching your breath curl through the air. The ship is still calm, still steady. Nothing stirs beneath your boots but silence. And yet, a thought drifts into you, as soft as starlight, as old as the sea. Some stories pass unnoticed, unless someone holds them gently in their hands, remembers their quiet edges, and tells them softly to another. And there, in that reflection, you feel a small stirring in your chest. Not an alarm, not a warning, just a whisper, inviting you to share this stillness, to carry it, to pass it on, like a glimmer caught between breaths. Because stories left alone too long become dust. But a story held with care, a moment remembered with reverence, that's a kind of light. You glance at the ice one last time, then brush your palms clean. Below deck, the routines resume. Voices return in quiet bursts. A few crewmen laugh near the boiler passage. Someone plays a mouth harp, soft and lonesome, notes bending like reeds in wind. You return your steps to the familiar. Polish a handrail, straighten a rug, pass through the service galley and nod to the cook, who's already boiling tea water for those who wake early. The ship carries on, as ships do. And you move within her, not to fix anything, but to be there, present, still, observing the unnoticed. You take comfort in your hands, in the rhythm of cloth on metal, in the simplicity of one task, then another. The ocean is invisible now, the deck doors shut, the windows misted. But you can feel it beyond the hull, waiting, listening, breathing. You return to your bunk just before dawn, only a few minutes to rest before your official shift, but you sit there, awake and thoughtful, the smallest smile on your lips. Because sometimes, being awake while others sleep feels like holding a secret the stars themselves entrusted to you. And in the hush that follows, you feel it again, the deep, slow heartbeat of the Titanic, echoing through steel and soul, carrying you onward, not quickly, not loudly, but like a lullaby too ancient to forget. Dawn does not arrive suddenly. It stretches, as if rising from slumber itself, first a faint blush in the sky, then a quiet silvery glow that gathers behind the clouds, warming the world without sound. You wait to that light. No bell, no boots stomping overhead. No voice, just the shift in colour behind the little window above your cot and the way it touches your cheek as if asking gently, "Are you still here?" You rise. You dress. You wash your face in the crew basin with water cold enough to wake memory. The others stir gradually, their movements rustling like pages in a book, too peaceful to rush. You step out into the corridor, your mop and bucket waiting like old friends. There's comfort in their quiet expectation, in the ritual of readiness. Today is a Sunday. It holds a different rhythm, slower, more reflective. Some passengers will wear their best coats. Some will sit quietly by the windows of the reading rooms. Some may pray, not loudly, but in their own way, as they always have. You begin in the second-class corridor. It's wide, but humbler than the floors above. Here, the walls are painted in gentle creams, the woodwork simple, but cared for. You pass a steward brushing his coat. He offers a soft, "Morning." You reply with a nod. There's little need for more. You know the language of early hours, glances, half smiles, the rhythm of cloth on brass, the way light catches in polished glass. You take time with each section. Not for praise, no one sees you, but because the act itself feels sacred. You move past the writing room, where someone has left a sketch in pencil on a folded napkin. A small boat, drawn in soft lines, its sail courting wind that doesn't exist. You pause. It's not a remarkable drawing, but it speaks. You leave it untouched. The light from the porthole spills across the hallway like spilled milk, soft and fluid. It creeps into corners, reaches across the floor, illuminates flecks of dust you hadn't noticed. You chase it with your cloth, not to erase it, but to greet it. as if the light were a friend and your hand an answer. Further down, you pass a door slightly ajar. Inside, a child sits on the floor playing with wooden blocks. He doesn't look up. You hear him humming to himself, a tune with no words, just the steady rhythm of someone who has not yet forgotten how to create joy from stillness. You move on. There's more to clean, but you carry that sound with you like a warm coin pressed into your palm. In the stairwell, your rag picks up soot from the railing. Your hands grow dark with it. But you do not mind. Soot means work. Soot means life. Soot means that somewhere down below, coal is burning, heat is moving, and the shit continues her gentle forward breath. The hours pass slowly, but never empty. You pause for tea near the staff galley. A steward shares a biscuit. The tea is strong, bittersweet, and it warms your chest like the rising sun warms the side of the ship. You sit quietly while you sip, watching light gather in puddles near the door. And in that silence you wonder, what is it really that keeps this ship moving? Is it the coal? The engines? The men with sweat on their brows? Or is it something softer, something no one measures? The care, the attention, the invisible thread of small kindnesses tied knot by knot between stranger and stranger. Maybe it is all of these. Maybe it is enough. You return to your mop, and the world narrows again into the comforting rhythm of movement and purpose. Each floorboard cleaned, each fingerprint erased, each hinge polished. It all feels like an offering, not to anyone in particular, just to the day, to the ship, to the sea. And when your shift ends, you fold your cloth slowly, set your tools aside, and walk the corridor one last time. There's a little more light now, stronger, golden, and in its glow, everything looks touched by blessing, even the soot, even the dust, even the hands that carry it. It is the kind of hour that passes unnoticed. Not quite afternoon, not yet evening. The sun has begun its slow descent, and with it, the ship takes on a golden hush, as if all of Titanic were exhaling at once, content to drift in warmth and shadow. You are not working now. Your hands are free. Your boots carry no bucket, no broom. For once, your stride has no direction, so you walk, slowly, not to get anywhere, but simply to follow the corridors as they stretch into quiet. You pass a dining saloon where soft laughter drifts. Tea is being served, fine china clinking like wind chimes, saucers passed from hand to hand. You smell the curl of bergamot and sugar, the faintest memory of lemon and jam. Someone plays the piano, not loudly, just a tune with no name, the kind that belongs to hours like this, open, slow, unconcerned with ending. You continue. In one corner of the reading room, a young woman turns pages slowly, her gloved fingers brushing words written before she was born. By the window, a man sketches, his lines light and uncertain, as if he's drawing a place that only exists between thoughts. No one notices you. But that's not loneliness, that's freedom. You pause beside a tall window. Beyond the glass, the ocean has softened. It no longer gleams with silver, but glows with warm amber, rolling like a quiet breath beneath the sky. It's easy to forget you're moving. The ship glides so gently now, you feel suspended, as if hanging between two worlds, the one behind you and the one you're sailing toward. You wonder what time means here, not by clock or bell, but by the slow turn of colour in the sea, the angle of light across wood panelling, the hush in people's voices as the day ages. Time stretches when you stop measuring it. You step outside again, not to work, but to feel the wind on your skin. It's cooler now, a calm breeze, enough to lift a lock of hair, enough to bring the scent of distant snow from somewhere unseen. You lean on the rail. The horizon is wide and pale, blurring into the sky. Clouds drift low, soft as breath on a window. You close your eyes. The ship hums beneath your arms, and for a moment you feel yourself vanish, not into fear or fantasy, but into stillness, into the quiet awareness that you are small and the world is vast, and that somehow that is a comfort. You remain like that a while. No one speaks, no one rushes. And then, a murmur from within, a steward announcing a change of service. More tea perhaps, or a formal dinner being prepared. The voice is muffled. It doesn't call you. You are not expected. You turn your head slightly, noticing the faintest reflection in the porthole glass. Your face. The ocean behind you. And for a split second, you think of the people who will never see this view. Those who stayed behind. Those yet to come. And in your chest a quiet thought forms. If only they could be here, just for this light, just for this peace. You smile faintly, almost to yourself. The sea continues. The air grows cooler. You gather your coat tighter, but linger still. Not because you're waiting, because you're full. Because sometimes, when life pauses like this, When the world holds its breath and hands you silence, you don't rush to fill it. You let it be. You let it stretch. You let it become memory. A soft voice in your mind echoes. A memory of your mother's way of saying goodbye. Leave gently, so the moment doesn't notice you're gone. So you do. You step back from the railing. You smooth your coat. You turn slowly and make your way down the corridor once more. Inside, light spills in golden puddles. Your boots touch the floor like falling feathers. The Titanic glides on. The sun leans lower. And you, a quiet figure in her story, carry the hour with you, soft as lace, strong as steel, and fading beautifully into twilight. Night returns as if it had never left. Not sudden, not startling, just a long exhale of sky, letting the day fall away in soft layers of blue, then purple, then deep, deep navy. You feel it as you walk the corridors once more, not working, not cleaning, just moving through the hush with nowhere in particular to be. The ship feels quieter now, not in fear, in contentment, like an old city dozing after a long golden day. Voices are few and low. Footsteps are measured. Even the lamps seem softer, their glow rounding the edges of door frames and faces alike. You take the servants' staircase up to the higher decks, curious more than anything. It's rare to walk here this late, where first-class passengers step in tuxedos and silk, where every doorknob gleams and no paint is chipped. And yet, tonight, everything feels equal. Everyone has slowed down. There is no grandeur now, only gentleness. Outside on the promenade, the wind carries a deeper chill than before. Still not harsh, but different, like the breath of something old stirring just beneath the waves. You lean against the same railing as before. This time, the stars above feel even sharper, like someone polished them in your absence. You count them in silence, knowing you'll forget the number, but not the feeling. A man walks past with a little girl in his arms. She's asleep against his shoulder, her small hand curled near his collar. He nods to you. You nod back. Neither of you speaks. Moments like that do not ask for words. You hear a violin, soft, far off. The notes rise and fall like leaves in slow wind, and for a moment you forget you are on a ship. You are nowhere. You are everywhere. Time stretches again, the way it does only at sea, only under stars, only when the soul is quiet enough to listen. You think of everything this ship carries. Not cargo, not luggage, but dreams, thousands of them, folded into suitcases, tied in hair ribbons, tucked into coat linings and rosary beads, all of them moving forward, all of them floating on this impossible palace that dares to divide sea from sky. You close your eyes. You think of the silence at the bottom of the ocean, not with fear, not with darkness, but with awe. Because this moment, this ship, this soft, perfect night, it too will become silence one day. Not erased, remembered. Like the soft hum of a lullaby sung decades ago, still echoing in the walls of a place long gone. And just as you begin to turn away, a voice within, barely a whisper, says, "Moments like this, they ask to be remembered." So if you're still here, if you've made it this far, gather it gently. Hold it close. Let others know you were here too, that you saw this night, that you walked these halls, that you listened and liked what you heard. You smile faintly, not at the voice, but at the invitation it left behind, and you carry it with you as you step inside. The warmth of the hallway embraces you like a wool coat. You pass the same sconces, the same framed prints on the walls, the same hush of velvet carpeting. Nothing has changed. And yet, you feel more present than you have all day. You take one more walk, just a short one, down the length of the A-deck corridor. Each door you pass is closed, quiet, guarding someone's dream, and then your own hallway, your own door, not gilded, not numbered, but waiting. You step inside. Your cot is exactly as you left it, the folded blanket, the small hook where your cap hangs, the basin where the water has gone still. You undress slowly, fold your shirt, sit on the edge of the mattress and breathe. Your boots thud softly to the floor. Your feet welcome the coolness. You lie back. Above you the ceiling is dark, not ominous, just resting. You trace your own breath as it slows. Feel the ship cradle you. Somewhere far away, the violin still plays. Somewhere nearer, the sea continues its long, unchanging sleep. And soon, so will you. But not before one last thought that in a world this vast, you were here. You noticed. You honoured the quiet. And that was enough. The dream finds you slowly. No rush, no drama, only a soft drifting, as if you've become another current beneath the wooden hull, slipping between thought and memory. In the dream, you are still yourself, still in uniform, still holding a mop. But the ship is quieter now, not empty, just wrapped in hush. You walk its corridors with weightless feet. Light pools under your steps, and the air tastes like lavender and salt. No one speaks. No one needs to. You already know what they would say. Isn't it beautiful? You pass rooms no longer used, dining halls stilled like paused music, the reading room with a book still open, as if someone had stepped away only for a moment. In the reflection of a porthole, you glimpse yourself. Not older, not younger, but softer, worn smooth by time like a coin passed from hand to hand until its edges no longer bite. You climb the stairs to the highest deck. The door swings open as if expecting you, and there, nothing, only sea, endless, silver, sleeping. The Titanic is gone, not sunk, not shattered, simply folded into the dream itself, but you remain. Standing on an invisible deck, sea wind curling through your hair, starlight resting on your shoulders like an old friend. You feel no fear, only something like grace, as if you've come to the edge of a great breath and learned to float inside it. You don't look back. There's nothing to find there now, only hours well lived, rooms well cleaned, a ship that once breathed with purpose and now breathes with memory. You sit on the edge of the invisible deck, legs dangling over nothing. The stars blink slowly. The ocean reflects them perfectly. The dream and the waking world blur like two waves colliding gently. And you think, perhaps for the last time, so this is what it means to belong to a moment. You press your palm into the quiet air, as if sealing it, not to hold it forever. That's not what stories want. They want to be touched, witnessed, then passed on. And so you whisper, not aloud, but with the shape of your thoughts, if you remember me, I will still be here, floating softly in the seam between history and sleep. A final thought stirs, like the last ripple on calm water. If this journey brought you comfort, then carry it onward. Let someone else rest in its rhythm. Let the night stretch its arms around them too. Like the sea, like the stars, like the story you've now become a part of. And with that, you lie back. No bed beneath you, no floor, only water, sky, and silence. But you do not fall, you float, you drift. The dream becomes breath. The breath becomes night. And night becomes sleep. The ocean keeps its secrets. And you are one of them now. Not forgotten, just at peace.